Some people measure their lives by wins and losses. Others measure it by scars and what they learned by surviving them. Today on Good Times, Bad Friends, we're sitting down with Ryan Horne, or just Horne if you know him, a man whose story includes near death moments, second chances, faith rebuilt from the ground up, and a lifelong mission to help people believe they belong. Ryan is a Stephen F. Austin State University grad who didn't just experience college life, he helped build it. From creating traditions like the Purple Haze, reviving campus legacies, and shaping a student culture, to now serving as the program director for first-generation student success at East Texas A&M University, Ryan has spent nearly 2 decades pouring into students who are trying to find their way. But this episode isn't just about titles or careers. It's about surviving paralysis, walking away from wrecks he shouldn't have, battling cancer twice, losing and reclaiming his family, and learning what it means to be a godly man, a husband, and a father. Ryan's story is honest, it's messy, and it's redemptive. And it's proof that sometimes God doesn't just give you a second chance, He gives you the same story back, but lets you live it the right way this time around. So, Ryan, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to get into it. Thank you for being here, man.
Man, thanks for having me. Can you email me that intro? Like, I went through like 5 different
Yeah.
emotions there.
Yeah, I got chills just reading it after I wrote
Yeah, I
it.
want to put
Totally.
that as my Twitter bio. No, man, we really appreciate somebody like you that has such a good story, and hopefully we get to jump into everything. But we always like to start the same way, just kind of get you comfortable with, just kind of let everybody get comfortable with you, let you get comfortable with everybody else. Just kind of tell us your story, start from wherever you want to, just take us through a little bit of the journey, and then we'll break it down piece by piece. Just kind of tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, well, excellent. Well, first off, guys, thanks again for having me, allowing me this opportunity, man. It's already an honor and a pleasure. I've already been joking with Colin all day long. I'm nervous, not worthy, all this kind of stuff. But hey, we're here. We're gonna talk and have a good time. And I was texting one of you guys, but I was like, I've gotten soft in my old age, so I'm gonna try not to get emotional. I was born and raised in Northeast Texas, Sulphur Springs. You know, nothing spectacular, just I was pretty blessed and fortunate. I used to say all the time, even growing up through high school, had all my grandparents. Parents weren't divorced up until in high school. I just had a little brother, little sister. Wasn't wasn't super. I mean, we weren't rich, but we weren't poor. Just that average family there. Sophomore year rolled around, and parents got divorced. And started kind of going through some life struggles there, and that kind of started to shape who I was. But I was I grew up in church. I always had that answer of, are you a Christian? Are you religious? Are you spiritual? This and that. And I'm Northeast Texas Southern Baptist, but my dad, his family were Catholics. My dad was an altar boy, when he was younger, and so I got a little bit of that sprinkled in. But I just played sports, played every sport you could think of. My dad was a superstar athlete, so of course his son, by God, was going to do it too. And he was pretty tough on the kids growing up. And we were going to go to church, we were going to play sports, we were not going to do anything to embarrass the name, or the family name. He had a pretty my dad he had a pretty hard life growing up, so he always wanted better for us. That was always his big thing. And so, like, did the church camps, went to this may be too old for you guys, but there was a Dawson McAllister live student youth conference that used to happen. It used to be big in the early 90s, and I mean filling up arenas and that kind of stuff, and going to church camps and playing sports, like I said. And um got to just, other than early on in high school, everything was rolling pretty smooth. I mentioned in the form I had a pretty serious football accident. My dad was a football star, and he had a shoulder injury. He was being recruited by some top schools, had a shoulder injury his senior year, and he lost all his scholarships, stayed at home. He always jokingly told me he was going to go off and he was going to go to the league in football, but he ended up having a kid. And I'd sit there when it finally hit me. I was like, wait a second, I'm the oldest. I'm that kid. I'm the one that's
It's
stopped
me.
you from
He's kind of blaming
right,
me.
exactly.
You've been Uncle Rico.
But he, it was a shoulder injury, and so that was I was definitely that kid that he was going to live his dreams through. And um, I won't say I was the best athlete, but I worked my butt off, and I was pretty solid athlete growing up. My freshman year, Sulphur Springs uh, 4A high school, pretty good sized high school. Um, of course, we had the freshman team. You know, you got your varsity Friday night light team, and you got your Thursday freshman team, Thursday night team, and we'd go and play. And I was a pretty little guy my freshman year, but when I put on those pads, I was as big as anybody. And we had a rival game against Jacksonville, the Tomato Bowl, and so Sulphur Springs and Jacksonville were pretty big rivals. So Friday night they were going to be playing, you know, the varsity game, and so Thursday the freshman game was going on, and they had brought down their senior tailback to get some extra reps for us for them for
Oh,
Jacksonville, and so we got this guy just running all over us, our little freshman team, and it was ticking me off, and so I said I'm not going to have him come to my side anymore. I played outside linebacker, and he came around the corner on a sweep, and man, I put the button on my helmet right between his thighs, flipped him up in the air, took him down. Crowd goes crazy, and I just face mask right to the turf, and my buddy outside cornerback there, he came running over. Horne, get up, man! Like you got him. That was a good lick. I just looked over. I said, Mike, man, I can't move, and they had to bring the ambulance on the field, shut the game down, cut my pads off me. I ended up being paralyzed from the neck down for 4 hours. I had a stinger,
dang.
but it was a severe enough stinger where everybody was kind of freaked out for a little bit. So of course, took me to the hospital just on the kind of student son I was. Of course, I told my parents the wrong time of the game, so they showed up late to the game after the ambulance was gone. So they got met at the gate,
Oh,
Oh,
saying,
no.
yikes. They were like, hey, change of
Yes,
events for the
your
game.
son just got carted off in a an ambulance, and they had to shut the game because
Oh, my.
tensions were high. So, of course, they met me in the hospital, and that was the first time I really saw my dad cry when they told me that I was probably not going to play sports again, but definitely wasn't going to play football again. And that was kind of a eye-opening moment there. Of course, battled back by the grace of God. I was able to work back and get back in it. Finished out. I got to finish out the last couple of games of my freshman year. Put the big cowboy collar on me. I felt like I was, Mike
Mhm.
Allstott, pads and shoulders way up
Yeah.
here. But my mother was not a fan of it. So we had bought some
Yeah.
property out north of town. I was right outside the school district of Sulphur Springs. She said, we're going out to North Hopkins, a little bitty 1A school. And she said, I got to get you away from football. And so we moved out there. When we got out there, life happens. I was playing sports, but my personal life, that's when my parents got divorced. Two younger siblings who just really didn't understand what was going on. And so I just tried to try to make the best of it. Played sports all through high school, got me through. That's what kind of introduced me to the college life. Um, I'm a first generation college student. My parents weren't able to go, um, and so that was all new territory for me. Got to college, lived college.
Yeah.
I had a good time. It was kind of one of those things. Maybe no regrets in college. A lot of my regrets came after college, but there's probably some things that I would go back and tell younger Ryan, not to do. Horne definitely lived college. Ryan probably should have should
Yeah.
have
That
stayed
was
in. That was always the joke too. That movie Van Wilder came out, and right towards the end of my college career, it seemed like that was a story about me. It took me a little longer to graduate with one degree, so but had a blast, and I know that some of the stuff that um, you know, Colin referred to in the intro, just some traditions and things like that. I really just poured it all into college. I was lucky enough to meet my beautiful wife, Amanda. Funny story to how we got met there. I won't dive into that just yet. I side note, and Colin may have already told you this. Alex knows, being in admissions and this and that. I talk for a living. So
Yeah.
I have stories for days. So you guys corral me as much as you need to. But met Amanda, got to college, graduated college, started a family, messed up quite a bit. I wasn't the best husband. Saw my family fall apart because of my actions. And then sports and my daughter brought us back together. And man, now here we are. I'm fixing to see my little girl graduate high school, head off to college. Just kind of that big full circle moment. Man, I'm so blessed. So that's just a
That's awesome.
a very long
Yeah.
introduction of, "Hey, this is Ryan."
No, yeah. No, that's good. I mean, all the stuff we read and obviously everything you want to get into, like it's amazing to have a story and I think more importantly having a testimony like that because there's a lot of people that probably feel the same way you do that have had all these struggles but that are so scared to talk about it. So the fact that you're able to open up with us, like thanks for just sharing that. But obviously, we'll kind of take a step back because for me, I'm always and it's just it's kind of an offhanded comment or whatever. But I noticed that a lot of people that played high school football, they get to college and they're like, oh, all this free time, I'm not going to be very good with it. Like I just feel like I was kind of that way when I got there. Like I just feel like you're so structured for so long. But going back to that, your dad was a great athlete. I know that that probably added a little bit of stress, having some high expectations and everything. But I guess more importantly, like what did you take from sports? Because I just feel like they're so important. They teach you so many things that ultimately, I think get you guided a little bit quicker onto a good path. But what were some of the ways that sports shaped you? I know obviously you had that big injury that you were talking about, but what were some of the things that you learned early on that kind of grew into your adulthood and kind of helped you grow as a person?
Oh, man. It sounds cliche, but it becomes your family. You spend so much time, morning workouts, afternoon workouts, trips, bus rides. And so I don't think I realized it at the time. But like I said, when my family, I thought I had this perfect little life till my sophomore year. And then you start really getting into those, your brothers out there on the field. So baseball was my next sport, and I got to pour all my attention into that. Was supposed to go and play college ball, um, but yeah, it teaches you. It's just your support network, your family, uh, adversity. Yeah, very few of us live any perfect seasons or um, never strike out or never miss this, and so you have to just take it and say, hey, like I'm taking my punches. You got to get up and move forward. Again, I'll reference Lion King again. I tell all my softball girls when I coach them that scene when Rafiki hits Simba across the head with his staff, and he said, "Man, what'd you do that for?" He goes, "It didn't matter. It's in the past." Like just instantly,
Yeah.
it's in the past. So, and it again in the moment, I just thought I was out there just living a good life. Again, decent athlete. Team was high school teams were pretty good. I was before all the like real travel ball and that kind of stuff. So, it was high school. It was your buddies. You did everything with them. And looking back though, it's like, man, that was really my support system. That was my get away from the house and from the parents divorcing and splitting homes and splitting time. But hey, they would
Mhm.
always be there, at the fields for me no matter what. So yeah, it teaches you how to get through that adversity. Becomes your second family for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like sports was like a huge role in your life. And even that game or day everything changed for you. You can always look back and think like I can either have this as an excuse and take my life this direction or I can just overcome it, kind of figure out where I go from here, realize I'm vulnerable to this world. I'm not on top of the world like I once thought when I lowered my helmet to
Yeah.
go for that dude's thighs. And it's not my story to tell, and we can get into it at a later time. But like Justin had a football injury his senior year that definitely altered the course of like the direction he could have gone to college and all of this stuff. Like, and same thing, he's like one of the happiest people I know. But you can also like have that one day where things don't go your way in such a negative way where you can respond two different ways. And like I really value you three men just to be like, I think you're very positive, influential people who have taken life like bad moments, not only to make yourself better, but the people around you better. So
Mhm.
that's just a rant. But so when that happened to you and you realized, man, I'm not as on top of the world as I thought, like what did that teach you about like control and surrender as part of like maybe I'm not in the driver's seat of this life that I'm living?
Well, if I'm being 100% honest, I was being a freshman in high school, and then I was able to come back and start walking, and the doctor said you're not going to play again, and I put on just a neck roll and said I'm going to go play again. I thought I
Hmm.
was invincible. I mean, I used to joke. Again, whole other topic. We talk about conspiracy theories and all this and that. Man, that's how I love the fact that y'all started this thing as conspiracy. What campfire conspiracies or something like
That was
that.
our big hope, Ryan.
Yeah,
Big hope.
that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I used to jokingly tell about it. I'm like, I'm immortal. Like you can't take me down. And
I've heard you say that actually.
it's, I mean, exactly. And that's how long it stuck with me. It stuck with me for a long time. And I think I said it so much that I started to believe it in a bad way. I let it take me over where I didn't think there were repercussions, for the longest. And when I look back and even filling out that form that you guys sent, I really started going back through some of my stories going, man, I should have just stopped. Should have just chilled right then. Like, I don't know
There's a
what,
lot of opportunities
yeah.
to stop.
I mean, so uh, it took all of these crazy moments, paled in comparison to when, um, my wife said she wanted a divorce. Uh, that's when everything, like, that's when your life derails and goes, oh man, like, I'm a dad. I was supposed to be a husband, and it's tough. At that moment, it's like, man, I'm no longer immortal. Like, I can see everything crashing down. So, um, that's the biggest testimony. You know, I got all these fun and crazy stories that lead up to that point that I didn't learn from. But man, God gave me a strong woman in my life. Couldn't ask for a better mother to my daughter. And man, so thankful that, again, that we lived through that chaos and came out on the other side. And so that's the testimony, I guess, that I me and Amanda, since we have remarried, spoiler alert, I'll jump ahead a little bit. We are remarried, but we sat down before we got remarried and had this talk, and we just put everything on the table. And I mean, there are a lot of tears, a lot of just blank stares for some time, just because it was like, holy cow, like we had a rough and rocky relationship that we just hid from everybody. And but
Mhm.
we both said, I think this is going to be a testimony one day when we're comfortable enough to tell people, to say, hey, I mean, we try to have this pretty relationship out front, but we kind of, I say we, and she's big on saying we. When I try to say it was me, it was definitely my fault, but we came through it on the other side, and I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Ryan, and starting to get into it. Sorry, one comment that keeps sticking in my head when you said that the paralysis thing was for 4 hours. That must have felt like an eternity for everyone. I just keep thinking about like 4 hours of not being able to move and being a parent. That has to be like
Yeah.
such a wild time of 4 hours.
Well, and
But I did want
And
to.
even on that, that's all of my stories. I definitely feel like I always have to say as caveat. People have it. That's why I'm so blessed. There are so many people that have it so much worse or have gone through
Mhm.
so much more than I have. So again, I had a severe stinger, couldn't move for 4 hours. Absolutely, for a freshman in high school, it felt like that was it. But I know there's
Mhm.
there's athletes who have overcome so much more. So I definitely don't want to make it sound like I overcame something massive. I mean, it was nice though when I started going, oh man, I can feel my fingertips or I can feel my toes. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing from
Yeah.
that moment was seeing my dad cry. Of course, my mom's tore up, right? But mom's
Mhm.
I'm her baby, and but dad he was tore up about it, and then to know that I think to see like his legacy he thought was going to shift, and so that was always a driving force. Maybe it wasn't going to be football, but baseball or something else was going to be what I dove into, and yeah, I'm very thankful that I was able to walk away from that.
Well, you made it out of that and you somehow found your way to SFA, and you talked a little bit about reviving traditions. Why was tradition such an important part of your college experience, and what does tradition mean to you and to the college students that you work with now?
It's there's a lot of irony the more that I have to like reflect talking to you guys and like I said, filling out this stuff because my mom has always said it even when she took me to my orientation. Again, I graduated with 29 students in my senior class, super small, but like going to college was kind of an anomaly. And so here I am going to this university. That the only reason I even found out about it was because they hosted the regional track meet for 1 and 2A schools at the time. And
Yeah, we went there.
Nice.
yeah, so I went to the regional track meet, and it was a nice day outside, and all the college students were out at, which y'all know is the Ag Pond, Hall 20. And I was like, oh, this is college. Like, I got to come here. But walking on campus as a freshman or as a graduating senior for orientation with my mother, I was like, "Hey, mom, I just need like stay right beside me. Like I'm gonna get lost. I don't know what I'm gonna do." And she always tells a story. As soon as we walked in and they had music playing and all this and that, I just said, "Oh, this is it, mom. I'll catch you later. I'm diving into it." And from then on, I was purpled out. I mean, you couldn't tell me anything else but SFA. Um, and I was like that in high school. I was the guy at our little pep rallies who I'd paint my face. I'd go to all
Yeah.
girls' sporting events if I wasn't playing, and we were, I was cheering and having a good time. And she always says, no matter where Ryan's at, he's like all in. He buys all in. And the irony to
Mhm.
that is, I am super loyal. I get into whatever sport team I'm with. Like those are my teams. But in my initial marriage, ironically, I wasn't, and it was because I was so focused on myself, and I wasn't focused on the word, I wasn't focused on my wife, I was focused on me, and so I really do, I just pour everything into wherever I'm at. My daughter, her high school mascot, they're the Trojans, come be Trojans, and man, I got actually, I don't know if you can even see, I got a bell back here, has a Trojan helmet on it. I'm maroon, I got maroon shoes and maroon hat, I'm just all out. And so while I was at SFA, that was my school. I'm here. What'd you say the colors are? I'm at orientation. You told me they're purple and white. Perfect. I'm gonna wear purple and white. You said you're the lumberjacks. I've never cut down a tree, but man, I'm fixing to start swinging an axe. I don't know.
I'm chopping right
And
now.
I'm starting practicing right now.
I'm gonna,
Be
I'm
Paul
gonna, I'm
Bunyan
gonna
in no
learn.
time.
Well, and so Colin, I don't even know if I've even told you this story. No, maybe you've heard it, but so matter of fact, at orientation, all the all the orientation leaders, and we've all done it, when we were orientation and whatnot, run across stage, they announce you, everybody's throwing up your axe handle, and, we're out that night, so this is 2000, August of 2000 is when I got to SFA, and the orientation leaders are saying, "Alright, man, do y'all know what our traditions are? Do y'all know this and that?" And, they're teaching us the hand sign, it's the axe handle and, state of Texas and all this and that, but they're all running around, and that's the thing about showing your axe handles too, I talk with my hands. But they throw up both their axes, and so I'm sitting there and I just go, "Well, it must mean lumberjack." And the orientation leader looked at me like I was the smallest person in the room, and they were like, "Of course, we're the lumberjacks. That's exactly what it means." And I said, "Well, no, all y'all are holding up your L and J. It's a L and a J." And I mean, it blew their mind. They were like, "We've never even thought of that." And so I was like, "Oh, maybe they just had, maybe it's just something." And for years, nobody ever said it until I finally got into getting involved, and I just that was one of the things I said, "Hey, we're gonna this axe handle. It's a L and a J for lumberjacks." And there's just I just enjoy stuff like that. I see.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
Look
one
at
of
you.
those.
You're getting schooled today, Colin.
I
You're
thought
not a
this was
real
my
lumberjack.
college.
I'm
What?
This
I
is
used to say that in all my admissions presentations. I had no idea the root of it all.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you, even if this is really some behind the green curtain information here. So in my professional career at SFA, I was in admissions, and we started the Jack Walker program, and we would give tours to, the alumni groups that would come back. And so like when the Chi Omega, you know, had their annual anniversaries or whatever, we'd give the tours to the older members and things like that. And so the cheer teams from the 70s came back and went on tour, and my jackwalkers would teach that. They would teach the hand sign, the L, the J, the axe, the state of Texas, all the whole 9 yards. And the cheerleaders from the 70s are the ones who created the axe handle sign. They were down at nationals on the beach, and they were like, "We need a hand sign," so they created the hand sign. But so they were hearing that, and they were like, "We've never heard the LJ part." And one of the I'd say young ladies, one of the ladies that was there, she was like, "That's so neat. Like, I'm gonna make sure and tell everybody that that's one of the things that has evolved from there." Well, that's when y'all know Dr. Holly Smith. They were doing a video for the history of the axe handle and everything, and one of those former cheerleaders that was on the tour was videoed, and she just went through and she just said, "Hey, it's the state of Texas. We created the axe handle. It's also the L and the J." And so she incorporated it in the video, but everybody thought that's what she was saying, was that it started back in the 70s. I said, "No, the LJ started in 2000s."
So you burn
Yeah,
that down.
that's
You're like,
yeah,
wait, 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 wait.
that
You're
is a
like,
Ryan Horne
easy.
original there now, but it was complete accident. I just thought that's what they were doing. I was like, it's a L and a J, and it took actually another funny story. It took a student from Jefferson High School because the Jefferson High School they would throw up their J's, and it took a student. Well, a student was doing that, and I said, "That is a J, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's what we do. We throw up our J's." And I said, put up your next finger, put up your middle finger." And then I was like, "That's it. That's why it's a J." So, but yeah, so going all the way back to it, tradition, history. I'm a history nerd too, but I just love tradition and history. And like I said, once I was at SFA, that was my school, and I was going to do everything I could to promote it. I was going to be the biggest fan supporter. If I couldn't be on the field doing something, I was going to be in the stands doing as much as I could, and that led to a handful of other traditions coming back.
No doubt. Well, I think it's a lost art. Unfortunately, people don't appreciate where they are. And I think this kind of leads into the question I'm going to ask you, but like, getting there and completely buying in on where you're at because that place is giving you an education, it's giving you a social life, it's giving you things to do and be able to get plugged into. And I think a lot of people now are in that transfer portal mindset of, well, I'm just here. Like, what can this place do for me? And there's not this symbiotic relationship anymore. Like, people, I, I, I would be so curious to poll today's college students. And I mean, you got two here that don't even know the history of their own school, obviously. So I think if you were to poll a lot of kids, like how many kids know what kind of traditions and how far they go back, and if you take someone that was there, almost 20 years before somebody else, were they doing the same thing in orientation? Were they learning the accent, or were they learning where all this came from? Like, were they truly taking pride in where they went? And I think once again, it's kind of leads in where I'm go to because I'm the same way. I was a first generation graduate. My mom actually went there, everything got out, and then my dad was like, "Yeah, that's not for me." So for me to get as far as I went, I was the same way. Like I got to that school, I was like, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that this is my school. And then when you turn back around, like you have so much appreciation that you want to do whatever you can to make sure that the traditions continue to live on. So for you, what's the importance of being a first year graduate on top of all the stories you said about how you were kind of buying into the culture there?
Oh man, it's it really is life changing, and they Colin and Alex have heard that term before, just with our admissions office, life changers, and it was something that again, me and a buddy of mine who was actually a cheerleader at SFA and we were admissions counselors, we would sit out before we went to our presentations, and he would sit and do an air guitar in his car, and he would just rock out, getting fired up before he went to present, and I would just sit there and I had my own music playing, and that's what we kind of said, we're fixing to go in and we're not doing presentations, we're putting on a show. We're going to show these students what college life is like, and we're going to change their lives. And it that goes all the way back to it changed my life. Seeing my dad and how he worked his tail off until a few years ago when he was finally able to retire. He didn't have that opportunity to go to college. And I'll be the first one to tell you, college is not for everybody. There is a place for everyone, and that just depends on what your goals are, what you're looking forward to. But for me, college was what I needed. I'm not sure where I would have been without it, but it changed my life. Being the first one, I was setting an example for my younger brother, my younger sister, and it was just a goal. It was one of those things that I'm setting my mind to it. My family has talked about, they worked so hard so they could put me through college, or at least get me to college. And then I wasn't going to let them down. Now, again, it took me a while. I wasn't going to quit. I could have, probably should have dropped out at some point. When you see some of my grades, everybody's like, "Why? How are you still here?" But it was just persistence. I just said, man, I just got to keep going. And like I said, I didn't know it at the time, but man, I met my anchor early on in college, and I'm so thankful for Amanda to have taken a chance on me and put up with that crazy kid back in school and get me to where I am now. So yeah, that's what I would tell students, any student that's even thinking about school, trade school, community college, D1, D2, D3. That doesn't, I mean, if you're continuing your education, it gives you something to push forward to. It gives you a goal, something to drive and shoot for. But if that's not your path, that's okay too. But whatever you do, go at it 100%. Don't, you're
Mhm.
going to hit obstacles. don't let that slow you down. Find a way to persevere and push through, and I promise you're gonna be better for it on the other side.
No, that's awesome. And I think so. I don't know if this is a hot take or what's the word? A hot take? Yeah.
Hot take sounds good.
Yeah,
Depends on
sounds
where you're
good.
going, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah. Big word, huh?
Right.
2 words, but it's
I'll
okay.
edit all this out. So it sounds like a hot take, but I think our college experiences are pretty similar, right? Like we got involved, we went all in, we joined the stuff that got you, I guess not like power, but like social credit at the place that you're at. So like people look to you for advice and stuff like that. And I think like what I learned at SFA, and here's the hot take because we've had authors and professors on, like what has helped me more in life had nothing to do with the classroom. It was all the like involvement I was in, the leadership position in those organizations, and like
Mhm.
one, how to talk to people. Two, I think you really see the benefits of a community and a well-functioning society in those organizations. You take that into the next part of your life. And I think that's why we're all in the education system the way we are, or working with the youth, or like we have felt what it's like to be on top of the world, helping people, not like selfishly, and are able to give back. And I think that you do a good job of that, Ryan, for sure. And I want to talk about like Amanda and everything. But I have one more question as kind of on this topic of like when a student graduates and they say like you're the reason I graduated, like I didn't have hope, but you took me under your wing or you helped me through this organization. Like how does that land with you knowing that like you are genuinely a life changer? You don't like talk about it, but you like practice what you preach.
Oh man, it's there are I have a handful of feelings or moments that I can just say, man, it's like that was the greatest feeling in the world. You know, that seeing my daughter born for the first time and things like that are just up there that you just can't top. But when those students tell you, man, I'm either here because of you, or I graduated because of you, or I did this because of you, that is, man, that feeling is pretty incredible. I would be lying if I said it didn't hit you in a way where you just said, man, I did something right. And now there are so many resources and connections and people and moments that hit students' lives, especially in college. So I would never be so naive to think that that was one singular moment that it was like, well, Ryan Horne kept me here. But to know that you had a glimmer or a moment in their that little dash that goes with everybody talks about that birth date and that death date, but what really matters is that dash. And just to think that you
Mhm.
had a little tick mark in that dash is something pretty incredible. And that is something that I wish I would have taken more serious early on, because again, I just I kept I kept getting lucky. I just kept missing those moments that should have just knocked me down a peg or two. And it took me a moment before I was really like, man, I really should have invested more in that student or that relationship or those moments to really make an impact. And I've had former students that still reach out to me and message me, and that makes me feel good. I just think, man, if I had my head on a little straighter, how many more lives could I have positively impacted? Because again, that was always a joke. It's going to change your life meeting me. And I'm not saying if it's for the better or worse. I'm just going to change your life.
I didn't specify.
Which, and it's funny, Colin. We'll have to circle back around to that. But there is a changing moment that actually involves you and your now wife, and that I don't think y'all ever really even remember. But it's a moment in Fuzzy's taco shop.
Yikes.
It was well, I think you and
Been
Ryan
there.
had just
Colin definitely doesn't remember.
those daddy ices is what I called them.
Hey,
Justin knows
yeah.
about those.
Listen, I can share some stories that I kind of remember from places like that for sure.
But there was a moment when we were just. I mean, of course, I knew you through Ryan. I knew you through your engagement at campus and all your involvement. And I think you and Ryan maybe had just started dating, or y'all were maybe just flirting around with the idea. But I told Ryan, who was one of my awesome students. She babysitted my daughter and all that. But I told her, I was like, Colin. Now she and Ryan also, because she was one of my close students, she saw a lot of my dark times. And so she knew a lot about me. But I had made the comment just at Fuzzy. I was like, man, that Colin kid, he reminds me so much of me when I was a student. and she looked me dead in my eye and said, "He is nothing like you, and I don't want him to be."
God.
Oh, and of course, and that
Wow.
moment, that sentence stuck with me forever because I respected Ryan so much. And just that was one of those moments too, again, she got to see a lot of the bad side, and I really don't even know how much she knows, but she probably knows a lot, but it was that moment that I was like, I saw this charismatic kid and this guy named Colin who was outgoing and, I mean, knew everybody that walked by us at Fuzzy's was saying hi to him, and, you know, he again, very much like me, not the greatest lookers, but man, we got an awesome attitude. No, I'm messing with you, Colin. You're a handsome young man.
That's spot on, dude. That's spot on. No wonder Ryan hung out with us. She's never mind.
That's why you tell everybody, man. I'm not that guy you walk. I'm not that guy that they look at and go, that's a hot guy. But man, you get to know me for about a week or two, and you'll be like, all right, that guy's
Oh,
pretty
you're right.
cool.
We're not the same.
No, but I did. I had so much respect for Colin, for your now wife Ryan, when she said that hurt, that stung, because I was like, dang, instead of being this role model for this guy named Colin because he's doing all the same stuff I did, people are going, man, I hope he's not like that Ryan guy, because that Ryan guy at the moment wasn't the greatest guy.
Well, if it helps, you were a great role model. Ryan still talks about you to this day. Like, we love it. Was funny. And Alex, I'll let you ask your question, but this is just kind of like a personal moment for me and Ryan. Like, when all of this stuff happened with you and your wife, I worked in the office with your wife and that side of things, and Ryan worked with you and that side of things. So I'm not going to call like our relationship a forbidden love at the beginning, but like we're like, okay, well, we have to hang out. Well, who's going to be there? Because I can, and it was like we were connecting the dots to figure out if we could hang out. And your wife scared the crap out of me, so I was scared to even like do it. Like, so like
You scares me.
yeah, yeah, dude,
Still to
I did
this
not want
day.
to be in your shoes, dog.
She's the
The
boss.
whole campus had a fear.
Right.
I know.
Colin, I think you remember this at Jack Camp one year when there was some trouble that went down, and Amanda was the person to drive those people back
Oh,
to
yeah.
campus, and she said she just turned on like I think country music and just like stared them down the entire
The entire
2-hour trip back, and I was like, God, that sounds awful.
That sounds terrifying. I wasn't even there, and I'm terrified.
yeah, get out of our memories.
No,
That's a favorite life. Sorry, I just want to be a part of the group.
no, I keep waiting for like this purple
Justin, now
haze.
you know how I feel when y'all bring.
Just keep waiting
Yeah,
for
that
this
is
purple
true,
haze to
that
go
is true.
across the screen.
Now you know how I feel, Justin, when y'all bring Solana people on. I'm just sitting over here like,
yeah, I'm sorry. You're
I
over
know
there like, yeah,
about
dude,
that.
for sure. Okay. All right, I get it. Sorry. I apologize for all those times.
Ryan, in the intro, we mentioned that oftentimes God gives us second chances in life, and we've kind of alluded a couple times to there's been at least a couple near death experiences in your life. Is there one that you might be comfortable sharing? Maybe one that has like impacted you the most, or that like I guess altered your life in a certain way?
Yeah, it's it's funny when we talk about near death experiences. I'm like, yeah, there's one or two that come to mind. It should only just be like one. I feel like, but I got I got a
most.
couple of them.
Most people are like, I don't think I've had anything like that.
Well, I there's a I don't know if you call it a fable or just a story. It might just be a joke that was floating around for a while. But you've heard that where there was a flood in this neighborhood, and this guy, escapes to his roof, and he's like, God's gonna get me through this. And next thing you know, a rescue boat comes up. They're like, hey man, we're here to rescue you. And he goes, I don't need a rescue boat. God's gonna get me through this. And they said, all right, man. He leaves, and next thing you know, helicopter comes, drops a line down, like, hey man, like we gotta get you out of here. He said, no, I have faith in God. God's gonna get me through this. Helicopter leaves. Next thing you know, he gets overtaken with flood water, dies. He's in heaven. God, I trusted you, man. I put all my faith in you. And God said, man, I sent you a life raft. I sent you a helicopter. And sometimes, we're just too stubborn, and we don't see it. And I'm sure I probably butchered that story, but you get the gist, right? You can have all the faith in the world, but if you're not paying attention to what he's putting right in front of you, sometimes that's on you. That's your fault. And I did a lot of that. Like I said, I grew up and I had the church camps and the church youth conferences, and I joined a Christian fraternity while I was in college, and just was checking all the boxes, but I really wasn't paying attention to everything that I should be. And that's kind of even when I go back, I use the use the excuse. I saw some things in some of my home churches when I was young, mismanagement of funds and infidelity in the church and all these things. And
Mm.
I at some point I had that I call it an excuse, but I use it as, "Oh, I'm just not gonna go to church anymore because church people are they're kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah.
So when people ask me, I'm just gonna say I'm spiritual. Like I have my own relationship with God. I'm spiritual, but I don't claim any denomination. Religion divides people, and that was kind of my stance for the longest. And but I had a moment where I really thought that I was gonna die. And so I've had, flip trucks and had neck injuries and all that kind of stuff, but I took a spring break trip early on in college. Me and Amanda had just started dating. We'd only been dating about 4 months, and a bunch of guys wanted to go on this trip, and somehow I convinced Amanda to go with us. So I was that guy that brought the one girl on the guy trip. Again,
Mm.
Amanda's cool, everybody loved her, and like, "Hey, let's go on this trip to Colorado." Now, mind you, I'm born in Northeast Texas. I'm a Texas boy, born and raised. Sun, heat, dry. I like it all. I'm not made for snow. That should have been my first sign. But we get all the way to Colorado first day one. I don't have an idea what I'm doing. I've never seen this much snow anywhere. And all the guys that I went with were like, "Oh, we're gonna." They're apparently go all the time, so they knew about skiing and whatnot. And mind you, I'm accident prone. I've been in a lot. I've had a lot of major accidents where I walked away from, but I know this about myself. So I said, I'm not going to ski because I just picture one foot going one way and another foot going another way and
Mhm.
hurting myself. So I'm going to be smart and I'm going to snowboard where at least my feet
There we go.
are strapped together and I can't hurt myself. And day one on the mountain was rough. I couldn't hardly stand up. Amanda stayed with me the whole time. They were trying to teach us. And I said, you know what? I'm sore today. But again, that was God's way of saying I probably should have just stayed home. But I was bruised up on day one. Woke up the next morning. Amanda said, "Hey, I'm just gonna stay here at the hotel. Like you go out and go do your snowboarding stuff." I should have stayed in the hotel room with her and licked my wounds from day one. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm not even gonna go to the lessons today. I'm just gonna ride the ski lift up the mountain and I'm gonna figure it out because
Mm.
I'm invincible,
Yikes.
right? I've already
Yeah,
lived through
immortal.
all these other things. Like you can't take me down. But I'm also smart. And I say that with like air quotations, because somebody had told us that when you go skiing or whatever, you don't realize that you're getting dehydrated, so you need to carry water with you. Um, so
Mhm.
me being the smart guy, I was like, you know what? I'll get me a little Dasani water bottle. It was one of those little ones. Put it in my coat pocket, and I'll have it to take me a swig if I start getting dehydrated. Took the ski lift up the top of the mountain. All my buddies go down. As soon as I get off the ski lift, I'll bust it. I can't even stand up. And they're like, "Man, you want us to wait?" "No, no, man, y'all going down. I'm gonna figure this out. I'll meet y'all down at the bottom." So all my buddies going down, and I pop myself up, and I'm like, "Man, I'm like, come on, Horn, balance, core, something like you're an athlete, right? So we're gonna figure this out."
Mm.
Take off down this mountain, and can't stop. And I'm just picking up speed. I'm flying by people, and people are looking at me like, I mean, I'm not zigzagging. I'm not doing anything you're supposed to be doing. I'm straight, just going. And I hear some random
Straight down the
boy
mountain.
saying, "You just got to ditch, like ditch, ditch." And I guess he was telling me I should like try to fall down or crash. Had no idea. I'm picking up speed. I don't know how fast I was going. That's one thing I wish about this story. I knew. Wish somebody would have clocked me. Like, but eventually, that nose of that board dug into the snow, and
Oh,
I call it's an ESPN wipeout. I mean, I cartwheeled.
Mm.
I don't know how far. I just was flipping, flipping. Finally hit on my back and slid probably another 50 yards. Just, I mean, like I said, I was moving so much so that everybody on the mountain, I mean, people were flying around me going, "Oh my God, that was the gnarliest wipeout we've ever seen." And I'm sitting there and I'm breathing heavy and I'm like, something don't feel right. But again, I've had some sport injuries, had the wind knocked out of me, and that's what one random person they were like, "Oh man, you probably just got the wind knocked out of you, dude. Like, just get up." Man, I've had the wind knocked out of me. This feels a little different, but just let me lay here for a minute. So everybody kind of disperse. They leave me, um, and I kind of push myself up, and I'm hurting. At the time, I didn't know that I was hurting, but I was hurting. I said, "Man, I just gotta get on down this mountain. Let's figure it out." And so I look over to my right, and I just happen to see this little trailhead off to the right, and it has a sign that says it has a blue dot, black diamond, or a green circle for, like, beginners, and I vaguely remembered, like, green is where I should be. So I start making my way down this path going, "Okay, this will be the easy track getting down here." What I didn't see was the snow had covered up the sign that said "Trail closed" due to extreme amounts of snow. So, yeah,
Oh,
so
no.
I'm hurting, barely gliding down this trail, and I'm noticing that I don't notice anybody. I'm not seeing anyone because the trail's closed. It's fresh powdered snow everywhere. And I start looking around and I'm like in the basically like a wooded area, like a trail that's off to the side of this mountain. And I start to realize that I'm by myself and I'm not really sure where I need to go. Got the snowboard still strapped on my feet, so I'm up going about 20 feet and then I'd fall back down, up, down. And every time I hit the ground, it's just killing me. I have no idea why. Not nothing's popping out of me. I don't ain't bones sticking out, so I'm real confused. And here I am down in the side of this mountain, and again, college spring break trip. College student, I was extremely broke. All this snow gear that we had rented, I needed my deposit back, so I couldn't just leave it. So it would probably been the smart thing to do. Is like just take the snowboard off and just start walking. But I was like, man, I need my deposit back. So I
Yeah, I gotta make it down with all this
No,
stuff.
exactly, and I got this cute girl in the hotel room, waiting on me. She's gonna we go out tonight for dinner. I gotta buy her dinner, but if I don't get that deposit back, I'm not getting dinner. Uh, um, so I had fallen down one more time with that snowboard, just trying to fight my way down this trail, and I call it my Oprah Winfrey moment. Again, this might date me a little much, but Oprah Winfrey, she used to have this talk show, and she always had somebody on here where they just had this moment of realization and everything slowed down and all. And I always just thought that was funny, except when I'm laying on my back on the side of his mountain, looking up, and I could see individual snowflakes just falling down. And I was like, if I don't muster up the strength to get up, I'm going to die on this mountain, be buried in snow, and they're not going to find me. And so that was one final push that I said, man, I got to get up. I got to make this happen. And got up, clicked off the straps of my boots on that snowboard and zip tie, or I say zip tie, but you know how they got those little push connectors on the boots.
Yeah.
Tied that around my wrist, so I just drug the board with me behind me, and I'm tracing through the snow. Thank goodness I finally heard an engine. It was a road, so I just start making a beeline for that road. Well, again, this trail had been closed, powdered snow everywhere. Didn't realize that the road was separated from the trail in a ravine. So I stepped into what I just thought was ground and go down into this ravine. And I'm like, this I don't know what, like, God, you were really wanting to see me today, I guess. And I crawl out of this ravine, get on the road, finally make my way to the road and start walking down to just following the road down to wherever it was gonna take me. I just knew I needed to go down, and, finally see the snow shack or the ski patrol shack where all my buddies had gathered, and I could see them in the distance, and they finally one of them caught eyesight with me, and, it was the weirdest thing because as soon as I saw him and he took off running towards me, my body just shut down. I just collapsed. I couldn't. It was just running off adrenaline, and so they picked me up. They carried me into the ski shack. They cut my gear off of me. What had happened is that water bottle pressurized in my pocket. And when I went up the mountain, I never opened it, and so when I flipped, it was just a solid piece of material that punctured my spleen. I bled internally for 4.5 hours. That's how long I was
Ugh.
gone. That they were looking for me. I didn't realize how lost I was, but they had ski patrol on the mountain looking for me. So I made my way down. My body was just in shock, and they obviously couldn't do anything for me there. Rushed me to the Keystone Hospital, Keystone Medical Center, where they had already called Amanda, who again we'd just been dating for 4 months, was there waiting. Uh, I had so much internal bleeding that the scans they couldn't read anything from the scans, so they had to transfer me to Vail
God.
Valley Medical Center where I spent the next 4 days in ICU. Um, And I found out some of the information later, obviously, from when everybody starts telling their stories of what's happening and what's going on. But Amanda had called back home to my mom, said, "Hey, Ryan's been in a pretty bad accident up here. You need to go. I think y'all need to come up here." And so my mom, knowing how accident prone I am, she was like, "Well, like when you say accident, like is he hurt? Did he just like break an ankle or like?" And she was like, "Well, they're not really telling me anything because I'm just a girlfriend. So, um, I guess you'll have, I'll have the doctors call you or you can call the doctor." So, um, when I got to Vail Valley Medical Center, I was on a stainless steel bench with, no clothes on or anything. And, they had the doctor who I look back now didn't really have good bedside manner because he was on the phone. Now this was a phone that still had the cord attached to the wall, but he was around the corner talking to my mom. I didn't know it at the time. I could only hear his side of the conversation. I just hear him go, "Yeah, yeah, no, no, it's not good. Yeah, y'all probably should fly."
Yeah.
And, I didn't again,
Oh
I was
my
just like,
gosh.
"Who's he talking to? What do you mean it's not good? Doc, I can hear you." And,
Hey, I'm right here, by the way.
yeah. Well, so jump forward a little bit. My mother on the other end was saying, "Well, how bad is it? We're in Texas. Is that something we need to drive?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. Like, y'all need to fly." And so, like, right now, and they said, "Yeah, we're going to call y'all a flight and we'll get you up here." Well, the flight that they called was a bereavement flight. If you're not sure what that word is or haven't heard that term, that's when they're bringing a body back. So it was my mom and dad and basically luggage. So it was a round trip for them two and bringing back something. And so they held the plane at DFW, which is about a 2-hour drive from where my parents were. My stepdad had to drive my divorced parents to the airport. And they were holding the flight because they thought that they were bringing back a dead body. Mom's freaking out. Of course, she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know the full story. And I was sitting there, never lost consciousness or anything like that. So I'm just very aware. I just don't know what's going on other than I looked like a beached whale. I mean, you can't tell it now, but I used to be like 180 pounds soaking wet. But I mean, I was swollen and the blood was just not going anywhere. And so they couldn't operate. They couldn't do anything because I would have bled out. And so just had to wait. So that was one of those moments when I was getting ready to go into the CAT scan machine. And of course, they tried to take your jewelry, you have to take all your jewelry off. And I always wear a crucifix. And I just said, good Lord's been with me all day. I'm not taking my crucifix off. So we got to figure something out. And so the nurse held my hand with the crucifix in my hand outside the CAT scan machine so I could go in.
That's cool.
Uh, but yeah, that was a pretty intense moment or a pretty intense time where I just said, yeah, I'm not stronger than the situation. I couldn't have got through it without the good Lord. And more directly, the people who were right there with me. I mean, Amanda was right there with me. My parents dropped everything. My dad is not a flyer. He doesn't get on planes. He was like, um, I'll be danged, I'm getting on a plane. As a matter of fact, one of the funny stories with that is as they were trying to get on the plane, my dad had his little, I guess, grooming kit, like his tweezers and toenail clippers, and set off all the alarms. And he was like, just leave it. I don't care. Just drop it
Yeah,
all. We got to
keep
get on
it.
the plane. We got to get up there. And so they got up there, and like I said, I was in ICU for 4 of the 7 days of our spring break trip there in Vail Valley Medical Center before my body started absorbing the blood, and I was able to be released, which that's a whole nother adventure because it was like Denver was about to get its record amount of snow. And so
Of course it
they
was.
came in and said, if y'all don't leave, we really want to keep you like 2 more days, but if y'all don't leave today, you're going to be here for another 7 days. So had some family members that lived in Colorado that picked us up in a RV, and we drove in an RV from Colorado all the way back to Texas. So because I couldn't get on a plane with the pressurization at the time. But yeah, that was a moment. That was a very eye opening
Well,
moment. I'm thankful to walk away from.
it's crazy. And I want to be respectful of your time, but there's like so much I still want to ask you. And so like the intro we read was about like you and like your survival and redemption. So you just talked about how like during this skiing or snowboarding, manly snowboarding accident, like Amanda was with you by your side in the ICU 4 months into your relationship, and going to where we are current day. which is a big leap, and there's a lot of details there, so we'll have to get you back. I'm only sharing this because you shared it in the survey. You got sick, and you had more hospital visits, and this was on the back side or the after side of you rekindling your marriage and getting back, and Amanda's with you through those hospital visits as well. So what was it like having her by your side in those hospital moments on Horne versus where Ryan is now, and what became clear in those moments?
To address your initial comment of being respectful of my time, I hope I'm being respectful of y'all's time, but y'all are easy to talk to. Like I just now looked at the clock. I was like, cow.
Hey.
Like,
I appreciate that.
yeah, no, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I need to just be around a campfire with you guys one night. We can tell stories for days.
Deal.
We can make that happen.
Yeah. Well, so that moment, my mother knew, I think, before I did, because of course she was there. She was in the room. I was her, I'm her baby boy. I've been with her through her ups and downs, and she tells the story that as I'm laying there, I look up and she's like, "Hey, hey babe, I'm right here." And first thing I said to her was, "Where's Amanda at? Can she be here?" And so mom said,
gosh.
"I knew in that moment that was your person." She was like, "You may not have known it right then, but a mom knows, like when you're looking for somebody to not replace my mother, but that can fill that space." And it was just a comfort. And again, I didn't appreciate it at the time, but I felt comfort with Amanda right there. Fast forward to my cancer issues, and I always preface that because I know there are so many people who have it so much worse than I had to go through. So I don't even really like to talk about cancer treatments. My doctor he joked on both different occasions that, well, this is the best cancer to get if you are getting cancer. And so when I got radiation, got that one
Love to hear it.
removed, and then the second one, he was like, "Well, this is the second best one to get." And I said, "Doc, I need you to quit telling me."
Well,
Um, but during all those moments, man, you find out how weak you are and how strong your partner is. Man, again, I truly, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. And again, I feel like I say all these cliche phrases, but when you live through them, and it was like I could have said, why, God, why me? But He brought us back together for a number of reasons. But man, she was my rock. I don't know. I still don't know how she does it, but I could not have made it through those moments without her. There's something very sombering about laying again on a stainless steel table with a mesh mask over your face going into a radiation machine in silence. You get lost in your thoughts, and it can get dark. But knowing that Amanda and my daughter Ella were right there, that got me through quite a bit. And we would not have been there if Amanda wasn't as strong of a woman as she is. And maybe a story for another day when we have more time. But the love of softball that my kid has, and that's what ultimately brought us back together, or allowed us the opportunity to get back together. And now here we are, 8 years since that moment of being remarried, and man, I couldn't imagine it any other way.
Thank you again for sharing. I hate to pull us out of this because there's like so many more questions and stories to get into. We do try to keep it around an hour, and we have two ways that we like to close out each of our podcasts. So I'm going to bring us into one of them, which is our rapid fire time. So we're going to ask a series of questions, and then you'll just kind of rapid fire like initial thought response to them, and then Colin will close us out
All right.
for the evening. All right. First rapid fire question. American Revolution or Texas history?
Oh man,
Ooh.
Texas history. Ooh, okay? You got me on that. Y'all come out firing right away.
good start. Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, especially in the year that we are right now, this is a big birthday year for the United States.
Yeah.
But again, I'm a Texas boy. Texas history. Stephen F. Austin, father of Texas, right?
That's what they say.
Justin?
Oh, my bad. I didn't know. My bad. I didn't know we were ping ponging back and forth because you guys are doing this whole SFA thing. I'm gonna skip the one that we didn't have a lot of time for, and I'm so glad you alluded to this, like of how we started this entire podcast. But are you more of a conspiracy theorist, or are you just like those boring, correct theorists that want to think that they know everything and then just imagine that we want to try to live on the moon? Let's change to this. What's your favorite conspiracy theory that you can get people riled up about?
Well,
It's not rapid fire.
well,
I know. It's
I-
okay.
well, we know we all know the moon is that's a whole scam in
That's
itself.
fake. Yeah.
So we have to
That's
go
all
there.
scamming itself, no doubt.
Well, then,
I love it. You're my
I try
favorite
to tell
person
people that at what point do I stop being a conspiracy theorist and I'm just a correct theory person? Like, it's just,
Yes,
I mean,
because we are batting 1,000 right now. Like,
exactly.
that doesn't make you a conspiracy nut. That makes you a truth teller.
Exactly, basically. Especially now
Oh
when
my gosh.
they found out that there are military grade weapons that are used with sonic rays, and you know what deflects those rays? Foil. Foil can keep those
Yeah.
rays from penetrating. I mean, throw my hat
That's
on.
why I wear the hats.
That's why I
my
wear
guy.
the hat.
Yeah. So the tinfoil hat is a
That's
protection.
it.
All right. What about? So this is a new hobby I've started learning about. So geocaching or zombie apocalypse prep.
Oh man, God dog. Y'all did your homework. I see y'all did read those. Getting all my passions. Zombie prepping. The apocalypse, man. I'm waiting for that day. That's gonna be fun. Be like Christmas. Now, geocaching. That's a nerdy hobby pastime of mine that my wife and daughter can't stand. But
I've started doing it too.
it's just it's a self-challenging thing because some people hide this stuff really intense, and you got to really be on your A game. But
I stopped on a bridge the other day coming home because I wanted to find one.
It
That's
can get
it.
real dangerous getting after that
That's
stuff.
it, man. That's it. But yeah, the zombie prep. It's one of those that when the CDC puts it out on their website on how to survive, it's because all the prepping is used for so many other real life scenarios. So, man, do I think that a dead person is going to crawl out of the grave and come try to eat me? No, but I think there's
Yeah.
some stuff out there that it's enough to where the CDC
no.
puts it out and says y'all might want to have these items.
Yeah.
Which I have all the items and then some, and I have the items that will reach out and touch a zombie from a distance or in close personal.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam doesn't need to know about those.
Uncle Sam doesn't know about all.
You heard it here first. We're smuggling stuff.
Well, speaking of apocalypses, what is one tradition that you hope outlives yourself and the apocalypse?
That good axe handle. I think that's just a tried and true to who we are at SFA and as lumberjacks. If we're just talking about just traditions right away, I think that would be something that, I could just see the story now, that the ashes and the world's in ruins, and this pack of apocalypse survivors are walking through, and they stumble across, and just out of the ash, you pull up that I don't know if y'all can see my axe, SFA axe back there in the background. How awesome would
I
that
got
be?
one right next to me too.
Yep.
Yeah, and, it's a college tradition, I guess, that I would say, unless rapid fire.
Yeah. Justin, you wouldn't know anything about that. Okay, so
I was going to say, it looks like I'm getting left out of y'all's building.
we wrap up every
on, guys, let me
episode with this signature question. So this is the last question, I promise, but it's one that we carry with us to each episode because it helps us personally learn a little bit more and our listeners learn about different resources they have. So right now in your life, who are you following, reading, or listening to that's encouraging your walk with God?
Well, man, I listen to a couple of military podcasts that they all tend to be, of course, military focused and heavy, but all have an underlying faith based component. Sean Ryan podcast is something that I really listen
Yeah.
to. I tell you, not again, fear of sounding cliche. I was really getting into Charlie Kirk. I just loved listening to that young man speak, and I just think that's a terrible tragedy that happened there. That we lost somebody with a lot of knowledge and a good man with a very strong in his faith. But those are two that I really listen to right now. That helps me, of course. Then I have a worship playlist that I just rock out to. So on days when I just need to get my head right, put on some good worship music. Matter of fact, there's one I know
What's
we're short on
the,
time. I got to
the
tell
good?
y'all this one. I just found this one. I got to so much so
Yeah,
that I
nice.
hadn't.
That's what I was going to lead it to.
I'm not
Go.
even sure who it is, but it's.
No, that's
I got to
okay.
find this.
Okay, I have great editing.
What's it
skills.
called?
Oh no,
Down by
it's
the.
"Left in the River" by Jamie McDonald. "Left It in the River" by Jamie McDonald. Y'all play that one? Oh man, it's just that one has just been speaking to me here lately. I heard it on a TikTok in like the background, and I spent all night like searching for it, just typing in words. To try to finally it came up, and I was like, oh, I got
That's right. If you're driving down the road right now, go ahead and press
Go ahead and
Q
start typing
after
in your phone.
episode.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Don't turn us off. Don't turn us off, baby. We got gold. But you go Q after episode, get you some Jesus as well.
That's it, man. That's it. Left it in the river. That's a great story there.
That's awesome. I'm going to go check that out. Well, Ryan, thanks for trusting us with your story, the good, the painful, and the redemptive. If you're listening to this, you're in a season where things didn't go as planned, or maybe your life looks nothing like you thought it would. We hope this episode reminds you that failure isn't final, that restoration is possible. And Ryan, thanks for everything you did, man. If this conversation encouraged you, do us a favor, follow the show, leave a rating, and share this episode with someone who needs the hope right now. Hopefully you got as much as we did from Ryan's story, and then that genuinely helps us to reach more people. Ryan, thanks for your time, man. We always appreciate people come on and especially with you being vulnerable with your story. I think, a lot of people can take a lot of different things home from your story, and we're glad you're in the place that you're at. I know there's a lot of things that were left unsaid, but thanks for everything that you were able to share. And like you said, we're gonna have to make this little campfire happen and kind of dive in a little bit more. But thanks for everything, man. That was an awesome episode. And thanks again for your time,
It was
man.
a pleasure. Thank y'all guys for having me.
And I'm gonna tell you, Ryan, I think this will hit home with a lot of people. And I told you earlier, I was like, I think you should tell people to listen to your story, because I think there's a lot of tidbits that people don't know. And like you said, my wife is like one of your biggest fans, and we all need to get together and do the campfire thing. But I think this will resonate with a lot of people. And we have conversations weekly from people we don't even know listen to this podcast, who have like questions and follow up. And so I think you're gonna do a lot more good in this world than you realize. And you talked at the beginning about your dads thought you were the sports prodigy, and like whenever you got injured, you're like, man, I hope, like, I don't know. I think the life that you've lived, the goods and the bads, the survival, the redemption, like you've made your dad proud, your family proud, and like we're happy that you're here.
But
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all letting me have this opportunity to talk a little bit. Sorry, I talked y'all's ear off for 2 hours.
No,
Dude, we got to do it again.
That makes it so easy. Like, you're always talking about how we're easy to talk to. It's like, if you can ask one question and get all these stories,
We got to run
I'll
it back.
take that every time.
Yeah.
We like barely scratched the surface. There's so much more.
I have like all this outline that we have.
I know.
Yeah.
we always have like the 6-step outline, and then we get to like step 2, and we're like, 35
Yeah,
minutes.
right.
We're like, oh, cool, here we go.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad I wasn't paying attention to
we'll
the
definitely run
clock,
it back, man.
because when y'all said something about the time, I looked down. I said, "Oh man,
Yeah, we tried so hard early on. It's like other funny things that kind of happened at like the development of this podcast or whatever. But like, we were huge clock watchers, man. It's like, okay, 3 to 5 minutes, we're gonna ask this question, and then it's like we try so hard to move on, but it's like, dude, just learn about somebody's life, ask a couple questions along the way, and like let their stories tell a story within itself. And that's like you get the culmination of obviously your stories and your trials and tribulations, and obviously people that are vulnerable enough to share it. Like Colin said, this is going to resonate with a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are scared to be vulnerable. I think a lot of people are scared to ask questions. And more importantly, I think a lot of men specifically are terrified to share their struggles with each other. But everybody has them. It's just if you're willing to face them, talk about them, and then find a way around
Oh
them.
man,
So
that's
for you,
huge,
man, it's
because I was that guy. I thought I had to be the tough, strong one.
Mhm.
Oh, I got it. I can handle everything, and man, it's just it's good to be able to let it out. So I appreciate y'all again. I appreciate y'all being the ears tonight.
That was good. That's solid, man. That's a
Yeah.
man, it's just such a crazy story. Like, oh, and then this happened, and then my spleen gets punctured, and then like I go through these trials. Like, I don't know.
We had
Man.
4 questions lined up, but we're like, dude, we can't I want to hear how the story ends.
Dude,
I hate,
20
like,
minutes on that one story.
I love hearing good stories, but then it makes me think, like, what have I done that's worth any kind of struggle at all? It's like I wake up every day and I'm like, is my food hot enough? Like, is my water clean enough? Like, is my vegan milkshake gonna sustain me the whole day? Like, who am I, man? Good Lord.
And he was in the woods for 4.5 hours.
Yes.
Bleeding.
He was like, yeah, if I don't snowboard, I'm going to die. You know what I would have done? I would have laid down and be like, dang, my freaking stomach hurts, dog.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm
Oh.
dead. See ya. Yeah, I would have started screaming. Yeah. Golly, man. Like, people go through things, and I'm like, what do I do in my life that's hard at all?
Wake
You
up.
know, one thing we do
Yeah.
that's really easy? A weekly podcast with our friends. Good times.
Hey,
Bad friends.
Guts go good.